So, me and a couple of the boys from the Discord just finished watching the One Piece animated short film called One Piece Fan Letter that came out last night. It is to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the One Piece anime. That's why everything's been flashing 25, 25. I did not know it related to the anime specifically. I thought it was the whole series, but no, it's to commemorate the anime. So the 27th anniversary applies to the manga, and the whole 25th anniversary expose that's been going on recently is to commemorate the anime. That's cleared up now. I'm so embarrassed. I did not know that. Never got that. Flew over my head. I did not know this short film was based on some entries that came out in the One Piece magazine back in 2017 by Tomohito Osaka. And it's a adaptation of those short stories that came out in the One Piece magazine. I enjoyed the film immensely, but I did notice some pretty funny things within it. Number one, there is a scene in which Whitebeard's bounty poster is shown. This is the first time I think anyone has ever pointed to his bounty poster like out in the field, like out in the open. The only time that we've seen it is when Brandon was going over all the bounties for fanfare and whatnot. So that was interesting within itself. However, there is a bit of a typo because the bounty that we see is way, way lower than the actual bounty. Based on what this says, his bounty looks like it's 504,600,000. This is vastly incorrect. And shout out to Discord member Molotov for pointing this out because I watched this twice and I didn't get it. So, yeah, no, that's incorrect because his actual bounty is really 5,046,000,000, which is really interesting considering that there is a decimal point between the 4 and the 6 and 46 million. So I don't know what this is about. This is very strange. Maybe that's a old bounty poster, but it looks like the old Whitebeard was in the bounty poster, so it should have been updated. So I don't know. I do like how it is said that he's technically not a swordsman because he uses a naginata. I thought that was very funny. The whole power scaling debate is very good. I like that a lot. And what's also very funny, and I'm not sure how canon this short film is, but seeing as how it doesn't really bump against the canon in any egregious way, I'm going to assume that everything here is just for world building, which is good in itself. But what's interesting about this is that during the crowd scene, in which our little protagonist gets caught up in, there is mention of a skull joke. And I thought that was really great because due to Brooke becoming a worldwide celebrity and a renowned musician, all of his gags are now public knowledge, and that is fantastic. I love that little bit of world building. Also, big takeaway from this whole thing was a character called the Benevolent King of the Waves, who is a Marine captain who is a big Chopper fan. And I felt kind of seen by this because I too am a Chopper fan. I do like Chopper a lot. So that was very funny. I enjoyed this guy immensely. He held up the ice block during Marineford because there were a lot of Marineford shots during this short film. So that was manly too. I like that a lot as well. Speaking about Marineford, again, I don't know how much this is sticking to the canon, but from the shots that we have seen of Orange Jr. during this thing, he's dead, y'all. His whereabouts are still unknown, which is fair, but jeez, there are two really gruesome shots of him. One in which a Marine, one of the Marines that we follow, is pinned under his severed leg, which is brutal within itself. But then we see his like unmoving body just on the ground, and he has no light in his eyes. It looks like his eye socket is empty, as if his eyes have been plucked out. It's crazy. kind of metal, honestly, but it's crazy. I don't know, bruh. He's bleeding from the mouth. He might be dead. Though, given where we're at in the manga, if he is alive, I could see him popping up in or around Elbaf. Maybe not on Elbaf, but during this arc, seeing as how there is probably going to be a lot of giant lore that we're going to get into. So that's something to look out for. And also, big news, not an important thing, but an interesting thing. So, there, one is a magazine all about Franky, and two, when they get into the Franky section, this is the first time that we see Alice, Iceberg's new secretary, animated. This is her animated debut. Well, outside of movies, because technically she does appear in Film Red, but it's still cool. And she appears here with Tyrannosaurus. And I thought that was pretty neat because we have not seen her in the anime yet, because the next time that she appears officially in the manga is way down the line in the Egghead arc during Vegapunk's whole speech broadcast thing. So yeah, this technically is her first animated appearance outside of Film Red, of course, which I thought was pretty rad. I just wanted to point out some things that I did notice that I thought were pretty neat. And I do like that our little protagonist girl was not fooled by the fake Nami like many others were. One last thing that I wanted to point out was that we see some Safrapol guys carry off the fox that is trying to pretend to be Chopper. And I wonder, is that going to lead into anything? By the way, that fox's name is Noro Gitsune. So I don't know if that matters at all, but it is kind of interesting that he was shown here. Also, I didn't know, apparently he is from the East Blue, which is pretty interesting within itself. I don't know if that will lead anywhere, but we see him being nabbed by Safrapol agents along with the fake Robin, whose name is Kakoa. Now, the funny part about her name being Kakoa is that the fake Nami's name is Chocolat. So you need Kakoa to make chocolate. So I thought that was very interesting. I never noticed that before, that both their names kind of are a pun. One leads into the other. But also, an interesting bit of storytelling within this special is that when the Nami idol, our protagonist, meets Usopp, she doesn't know who Usopp is, because technically at this time, Usopp is not a part of the Straw Hat crew. Sogeking is. So it is Sogeking who has the bounty poster, not Usopp. But now also there was a scene in which some Marines were being attacked by giant bugs, namely a giant mantis, some ladybugs, and one green bug. It kind of looked like a jewel beetle or something like that. Technically, that is canon, because in chapter 602, you do see a mantis in the background behind these two giant beetles who are being commanded by Heracles. So yeah, that's real. That's actually real. I had to look that up, but that's actually canon. I never noticed the mantis before, but that's a real thing. Yes, Heracles does have control over Mantis, and that was the only odd one out because everything else is a beetle, so I'm not really surprised. But yeah, he apparently does, and I guess all these guys are from the Boeing Archipelago, so that's pretty neat. But with that being said, that's all I have for you today, for real. Give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede Waxing.